Hey everyone, this is Josh from before, and I'm here with McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Endless Winter Wonder Woman. And if we pull back outside the DC Multiverse line for a moment and look at the other stuff that McFarlane has given us lately, The Witcher, Princess Bride, etc., I think it's pretty clear that he's kind of trying to fill out this medieval fantasy universe. And I think that is the case with this Wonder Woman, who, in my opinion, it feels like they prioritized medieval fantasy over winter specifically. So if you're looking for her, I found her and the rest of the Endless Winter wave at Walmart, along with a ton of other stuff: Batman movie, Future State, Dark Knight Returns, etc. So get out there and check Walmart if you're looking for her. Let's get her out. Okay, this is definitely Game of Thrones barbarian Wonder Woman. And while there are very prominent Wonder Woman elements, there's the W's, there's the eagle crest on the chest, there's a star up here on the head. I think if you were going to repaint it, some of those prominent Wonder Woman seeming details, like the lasso, are just going to become sort of utilitarian and medieval looking. She stands pretty well on her own, but I did throw her on this because the spinning, the fur cloak cape makes her a bit top heavy. But she does stand pretty well on her own, despite having these tall heels. Let's come in for a closer look. Normally I don't bring out the cards, but we really got to take a look at this one because what they give us on the cards is very different compared to what we're getting in hand. She doesn't have these wings down at her face, which now that I look at them, it seems like they're upside down and in a weird angle, and they feel kind of like an afterthought. She's got a more metallic paint job. She's got shoulder plates on the shoulders, and she's got a shield. Probably a hint at a future gold label release, and maybe a reason to hold off on this one until that solo carded version comes out, if you're not necessarily trying to build the Frost King. But even though it's different than the card art, this face looks really good. It's got great paint on it. It's a great sculpt. I really don't care for these wing things on the side of the face, and they're glued down. Great range in the head. Even though this prominent braid gets in the way a little bit, it's still got plenty of room and it's got plenty of give. The braid looks pretty damn cool, I must admit. Wouldn't mind a little bit of highlight in that hair to bring out that great hair sculpt. So it's yet another unfinished sheath, which I just think they look terrible. I have a hard time coming up with any excuses for why they're giving them to us like that. The sword's got some very nice detail. Feels very Lord of the Rings. This fur cloak cape is really beautiful looking. Some dry brush highlights especially would make that pop just a bit more. But man, there's a really great sculpt in there to work with. It's a semi-pliable material, fairly rigid for the soft rubber that they use. It's gonna move a little bit when you lift her arm, but it's probably not gonna hold. It's probably gonna end up being fairly heavy and over time push that back down. It's got a ball joint under there, bicep twist under there. The shape of this fur cloak is fairly well designed to give you some movement in this arm, though. Obviously, much better range in the arm that doesn't have the cloak over it. The butterfly, I think, is really well shaped for the arm. Lots of movement in that butterfly. And these butterfly socket things here, they end up being, in my opinion, some of the MVP articulation points. It really does make for some minor body language adjustments that have a huge impact on the overall pose. Good clearance here. Man, just so many details that aren't hit with paint. You wish they were. You know, I'm glad this got the paint that it needed, but so many little straps and details that could be hit with paint. The paint overall, it just feels a little Saturday morning cartoony, given that the sculpt feels very mature and grown up. It's kind of at odds with the rest of it. It's got a little bit of a, I don't know, it just feels like a Starburst wrapper. Again, if you're using this for a medieval figure and you give it another paint job, I think all of a sudden these W's are going to feel less like W's and just more like traditional fantasy details. The skirt here is pliable. It gives quite a bit if you want to get a wide-legged stance. Ditto for front and back. Not all the way, but a great range. You know, you got something like this around the waist, it's not going to be the biggest range, and we shouldn't expect it. So being able to do that, I can live with that. No rotation, though, in the legs when they're pointed straight down. You get a little bit more when you lift them up, but still not a ton. And the double knees actually have pretty huge range, but you'll have to get it free of her skirt that hangs down, because then it starts to pinch in there. But once that's no longer in the way, then you're getting a full knee. That's actually awesome. Kneeling position. More fur trim that really just needs paint. More fur trim that really just needs paint. More fur trim that really just needs paint. Ankles are a little stiff, as we tend to see with these Wonder Woman figures in their high-heeled boots and their shin armor. So nothing particularly new or surprising there. Man, it's just too color blocky, you know? I appreciate they really did try to give us as many paint apps as they could. You know, a lot of these different details on the sculpt that do have paint on them, it just doesn't quite get there. I think it doesn't flatter this really great, interesting sculpt. But I'm fairly pleasantly surprised. This torso looks, I think, more rigid than it actually is. There's some potential for movement in there. The cape, I think, is making it a little more difficult too, to make some of these moves stick. But then if you look under the cape, there's a lot of gappage going on under there. So if you were considering taking it off, be aware of that. You know, there is a waist under there. She's not as stiff in the torso as she looks. You'll be able to get a little bit of play. Here she is next to my other figures from the Endless Winter Wave. The winterness seems all over the place. I love the bat look here. Wonder Woman is more medieval than winter, and Black Adam has like no sort of winterization at all. I wish they would have maybe tried to stick to that theme a little more consistently, even if it meant giving Black Adam like a scarf and a Santa hat. You know, just have a little bit fun with that winter theme and hit that a little bit harder. Here she is next to some other Wonder Women. She's my least favorite up here. And not because I really have a strong dislike for her. It's just these all deliver something that is a little more interesting to my taste. And then here she is with the Princess Bride line, which these are obviously all very specific characters, but I think they could all potentially work as background extras in a fantasy scene. And heads up, when this Princess Buttercup inevitably goes on clearance, you may be interested to learn that the bottom half of her legs here are pretty solid fodder for customs. She's got great sculpted ball joint ankles and stuff. I could see this being like Harley Quinn legs or many other characters. You know what I'm saying? So when she starts hitting like $11 or whatever, you know, which I think is probably going to happen inevitably, be on the lookout for Buttercup. So like I said, I found Endless Winter Wonder Woman at Walmart, and I found her and all these other figures as I was like halfway through the Dark Knight Returns wave. So I put that on the back burner until I got through these new fresh ones, and so I don't have the horse yet. So when I get that horse put together, I'll test her out on there as well. So be on the lookout for that coming up in the next few days. Otherwise, this isn't a super vital entry to me. It's really great looking. I think that the gold label version that they've kind of hinted at with the card is going to be the preferred version. So if you don't need to build Frost King, I would say you can hold out and pass on this one for now. The biggest appeal would be if you're a big Conan fan or you're trying to build out a fantasy medieval universe, then this is a great barbarian woman. All right, guys, that is it for Endless Winter Wonder Woman. Thanks for watching. I will catch you on the next one. Bye.